This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome aboard once again for the Sunrise Safari. We're coming to you live from the Djuma Traverse in the Greater Kruger National Park of South Africa. Now, that is a very big bull elephant under the thermal camera, and you can just see where all the warmth is there, because it's still early hours of the morning here. The sun has risen a little while ago, so we don't have too much light just yet, but a nice picture just to have a look at that from that perspective. Now we are going to just pop across to the infrared camera. Right, and there we go. So that is exactly what we're looking at. This guy just coming up towards us, and my name is Ralph Kirsten. On the camera this morning I've got Senzo Mkhize, Easy Mkhize. Now please don't forget to join us on the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat. Send us your questions and your comments and get involved in the largest game drive in the world. Now, back to our subjects here, and this big bull elephant, I think just having a listen to my conversation now, because we've been sitting in relative silence, and so he's probably a little bit interested in why all of a sudden we're making a noise. But he is a good-looking bull. You can see how nice and thick those tusks are. I always like it when bull elephants have that sort of wide angle on their tusks. It does make them look a little bit bigger and just prouder, I think, as an elephant. All right, everyone. So we've been out since very early this morning doing drone testing and checking all sorts of things. And I'm not the only one out here. James is also out. So let's get over to him.
Good morning, everybody. You've just missed Hosanna, the clown leopard, attempting some climbing. He's in full play mode at the moment. It's marvellous to have you with us. Let's stay on him. Don't worry about who I am. My name is James. In case you were wondering, please talk to us using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Otherwise, the chat stream on YouTube. We'd love to hear from you. You can send us your questions and your comments. For now, this is Hosanna, a 2.5-year-old male leopard who has a penchant for climbing and playing and generally horsing about. And in fact, he's now retrieved, I think, a piece of meat that he'd dropped onto this funny branch. This is amazing. Look at him there. I didn't think he'd be able to get that piece of meat. And his hunting has been particularly unsuccessful in the last few days. Yes, Jay, Hosanna does like to put on a show. He's the most social leopard in the Sabi Sand. Seems to enjoy our company as much as he enjoys climbing. I'm just going to wait a second and see if he comes back. You got him, Seb? No.
I think he's at the back.
Yeah, I'm going to go back a bit. He will come back. There he is. How's that? He's going to land in the car. If he falls out there, he's going to land right in the car. Let me get back a bit, because if he does jump up, Seb's going to miss him. There we go. He's so high up. How's that, Seb? Well, Aegis, yes, absolutely. The jumping most certainly shows how strong he is. But, you know, there's so many animals out here that have this kind of power to body weight ratio. He is very strong. But if you watch a monkey or a baboon leaping about in the trees, it's the same kind of thing. He's just playing. He's 2.5 years old and he still loves to play. This is pure exuberance here. There is no point to this other than his enjoyment of it. Lauren, yes, I think, you know, to a certain extent he has been clumsy, but I don't think any more than any other male leopard is clumsy. Male leopards in general look clumsy when they come out of trees. Now there's an alarm calling animal and I don't know if they've seen him knocking about in this tree or if it's something else. I think probably they can see him. Here he comes. Oh, hello boy. Morning. I could reach out and touch his tail. I wonder what he'd do if I grabbed his tail. I'm not going to. An ostrich, you say, could be part bush baby. He certainly could be, until you see him this close. And he doesn't feel like a part bush baby. Then suddenly you climb into the car a little bit closer. Sebastian, I think he's eyeing you.
He doesn't jump in the car on the tree.
Yes, if he gets in the car, it will be unpleasant. Maybe he'll allow us to cuddle him. I must just keep saying now, of course, that he is so completely confiding, not because he's tame, but because he just doesn't see us as a threat or as something to eat. Oh, magic. All right, we'll keep trying to get into a decent position for him. Let's go back across to Ralphus and see how his elephant is.
Well, this elephant is good. We just always be a little bit careful with him. He's, I'm not sure if he's in must yet, but he might do. It might be sort of coming into, don't always know. He's looking a little bit menacing, and he did put his penis out, which is quite intimidating sometimes. So I'll just see what he's going to do, but I just have a feeling that I don't really want to confront him now. He's looking quite confrontational, so let's just give him a little gap. He's coming down the road here. All right, buddy. You can have the place. A big bull like that, it's like, it's almost like a truck coming at a little mini. Now, Brad, I don't think that elephants do get bored of eating all day, because they seem to, enjoy it, even though they're continuously doing it. So, as I said, this guy just being slightly confrontational. I'm not going to allow him to get to the point where he's, you see, he's just being slightly nuisancing, if I can say that, or he does look like he just wants to cause a bit of trouble. So I won't allow him to get to the point where I've got to aggressively respond. We can just give him a little bit more space. And this seems like a little bit of a boys' club, so maybe he's just trying to show his dominance. And well, I could have sat there and waited for him to come all the way to us, and then have to sort of respond when it gets too close. But just a little bit of backing up, just giving him his space, giving him the respect that he probably deserves, being such a big animal with big tusks like that, and having lived probably longer than I have. So I'm just respecting my elders. in this particular position. Sometimes good to stand your ground with elephants, but you know, through the years of me having been in their presence, I actually now just trust my intuition. And in that particular position, yes, he had enough space to go past us, but I just felt that I wanted to back up a bit, so that's what I did. And always good that when it results in that kind of non-confrontation. So wonderful. Nice to sit in with the boys here. There's probably about 4, 5, maybe even 6 big bull elephants, and well, I think we'll hang here and see what they get up to. But let's head you back to James with the little chief.
Yes, back with the little chief there. Sebastian being extremely artistic, as you saw there. That's known as a focus pull, everybody. And Hosanna is running yet again. Absolutely amazing. We'll keep following, of course, during the course of the morning. Hopefully we'll get some other nice shots of him. I hope. Everyone hopes. Should. Let's hope also that he perhaps catches something to eat. CJ, I do think he's got a favourite spot. I think this is it. I think his favourite spot is unquestionably this pan. There he is. That's quite a sweet shot. Don't worry about the angle at which he looks, everybody. I have parked Sebastian in a nasty spot. There he is, just resting on the rocks there, considering his next move. Now, the last time we watched him do this, he went wandering down this riverbed. Now he's pretending to do a bit of a stalk. Up he goes. Okay, let's move back. The sun is just coming up behind us, which is always very nice. Not too cold today. I'm not going to pretend. I'm just going to let these guys go in front of us. I'm not going to pretend to give you an accurate temperature. It's probably round about 56 degrees Fahrenheit. Here he comes, straight towards us, Seb. Yes, Anna Maria, it's been quite amusing. You say he's putting on quite a show. He's a bit of a thespian, like me. Well, to be compared with the wonderful Hosanna is, well, a great honour. Morning. You see how I disappeared there, Seb? Nancy, no, I don't think that this behaviour's got anything to do with his losing his mother relatively early. I think this behaviour is purely the exuberance of youth. And I think, like some human beings are exuberant, Ralph Kirsten, for example, I think some leopards are exuberant. Some will not display behaviour like this. I've never seen a male leopard this age play like this on his own. And this cat has been photographed over the last 4 or 5 days by these same 2 vehicles full of photographic tourists, to the extent that I'm going to guess here, but I'm going to say upward of 10,000 photographs have been taken of him in the last 3 or 4 days. Every time they get anywhere near him, you hear as the cameras take their pictures. And that is only a good thing. The more people appreciate these cats, of course, the more likely they are going to be to try and help to conserve them. Marvellous. Let's continue. As we try and catch up with Hosanna, Sydney is out on his feet.
A very, very good morning and welcome to the beginning of the bush walk. I can see that the sun is nice and clear this morning. It's now just about to come out. It's going to be lovely this morning. My name is Sydney and I am not traveling alone this morning. I am traveling with Fergus as well as Herbert, who is my game scout. So I am going to try by all means to get you see quite a whole lot of interesting wonders of the wild. My plan this morning is not that very difficult, quite very easy. I will be looking for the tiny little interesting things. So for the questions and comments, you can follow us on Twitter, hashtag SafariLive, as well as on YouTube chat stream. I will be starting here. I am now by the quarantine. I will just head down to the dam and try to pick up some of the tracks and see what's happening there. So there's quite a lot of interesting calls from quite a lot of birds. I can hear birds coming from this side. That is a kivit. A kivit, it is a blacksmith's plover. Wisteria, indeed, that is a gorgeous sunrise. Look at that, sunrise in Africa. To me, sunrise and sunset in Africa, it never gets old. It looks new every day. So this is very much beautiful. When the sun is coming out like this is when quite a lot of birds are getting excited and they will be exposing themselves to the sun and use the sun to chase away the parasites. And then some of them, animals such as reptiles as well, is when they're going to start to come out. Yesterday, I have seen 2 different snake tracks. So it was a sign to me that now the animals such as snakes, they are starting now to come out. They are coming out. Anytime soon, it will be snakes a lot. So let's go down here to the dam and see. Maybe we might pick up some tracks and of some of the animals coming to drink here. So now let's go to Ralph and see what the elephants are doing on the other side.
Well, there's quite a few of them here, and we've just been negotiating a little bit because they seem a little bit grumpy this morning. They are really trying to impose their presence on me, which is fine. They have every right to, but I just watch, you know, with such a big animal, you obviously just want to be, you know, have agreeing about things, if I can say that. No, Adis, no, you know, this bull probably is, he looks quite dominant to me. This is a little bachelor group of males here, but it's a real, it's a proper group of males. It's not youngsters. These are bulls in their prime, I would have to say, probably in their 30s, maybe mid-30s, even on to 40s, both. The 2 that I've seen, this is the second one. The other one that's just continued on, he looks a little slightly younger, but this bull is a beautiful specimen in his prime, not having been ousted from a herd. Remember that bring herd on forward while he's sort of feed there as well. We just see him from the angle now. He might carry on feeding. So, you know, bull elephants, they only join. I'm sorry if we're getting a little bit of picture breakup. I'm not sure. It might be the signal where we are down in this little drainage line. But bull elephants, they don't really get kicked out of the herd. They sort of start to go and wander on their own, and they'll then later rejoin the herds purely for mating purposes. Well, you know, when they start going into must, and they get a lot of testosterone coursing through their blood, and that literally forces them to go and seek out the females. And so this group doesn't seem like they're in must. That normally, presses them to start fighting with each other a little bit, and also to go and look for the females. They can be a bit grumpy at that stage too. I don't believe that these guys are anywhere near must. I think they're just being big boys, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. Beautiful sets of tusks. Now, Kristen, you say you love the elephant swagger. Absolutely. For me, it's one of the most amazing things to be in the presence of a big bull like this, and one that's got the size and the swagger. It's really a sight to behold. As the little drongo there, I wish I could be a little drongo, just flitting around, next to an elephant. It's incredible how such a small little animal can actually be flitting around a bull like that. No problems. This must be amazing from his perspective. Now, CJ, elephants, they do sometimes get ticks in terms of parasites. I've seen, just in their folds, in the armpits. I've also seen on the mammary glands of some of the females. Sometimes, so quite tough ticks to get into that skin. But always, obviously, where the skin's a little bit thinner. So maybe in the armpits, maybe under the legs there, possibly even under the tail, anywhere where the skin is a little bit more accessible for the parasites, then you might have more ticks. In terms of internal parasites, I'm sure that there are a number of different internal parasites that they will get. I'm not, up to speed with too many of those, but I'm sure that there are a couple of viewers that might know and can pass it on to the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. But as I say, their digestive system isn't great, and most of it passes through. I don't know if they get worms and things like that. I'm not quite I don't know that much with the veterinary side of things with elephants, but I do know that the only parasites I've seen on them being the ticks, and I've never seen anything in their dung that would suggest internal parasites, but that's not to say that they don't get them, or that so it's quite interesting. But nice to see them feeding like this, and sometimes you can actually hear the full-on crunching of big branches as they just grind it down. So I think it's wonderful to start with an elephant morning as well as leopard.
It really is very special to start with elephants and leopards as opposed to just driving about the place. Apparently there's a duiker right in front of him, so we just need to be quite careful not to make any noise. He's going to walk behind a car now, so I am going to move. But apparently there's a duiker not too far from here, says Rex, who's just in front of us there. We will keep our distance. We've got a nice long lens, so we don't need to get too close to have a look. He doesn't look like he's seen it. Rexon's seen it. Goodness gracious, we are in a field of crushed strychnos bushes. No, he's not stalking anything at the moment. We'll just try and get across this rather nasty patch. Song of Rain. You say at what age do they start to develop the dewlap there? Now he seems to have picked something up. Song of Rain, some leopards don't ever develop a dewlap. I mean, Hukumuri doesn't have one. He's about 6 or so, maybe even 7. Normally you'd expect it around 7 or 8, I guess. Sometimes a little earlier. He'll probably get one because his father has one. A dewlap, for those of you who don't know, everybody, is a flap of sort of fatty skin that hangs down below the neck and is probably there to provide protection during territorial scraps, because they will of course go for each other's necks. Same reason that a lion has a mane, basically, or one of the reasons a lion has a mane. Oh, he's just magic, isn't he? What a beautiful cat. Well, yes, I mean, everybody, the ugliest animal in the world, even a marabou stork, would look relatively attractive in sunlight like this. Many of you saying how beautiful he looks in the sunlight. Well, I've yet, as I said the other day, to hear anybody describe him as ugly. And I'm not going to be the first. He's definitely ready to eat something else. I mean, he's certainly not thin, but he's ready to eat something else. Shall we try and go? But oh no, let's go. Yeah, let's go. Try and get across this field of chopped strychnos. Okay, we're making a big noise here, and Sydney is in a much more peaceful place.
I have got one of the very, very much interesting plant. It is called a devil thorn. I'm trying to look for more of the thorns here, and I can't find the thorns that are looking good. Yeah, it is. So I've got a very nice thorn. If you can check, you'll see here that this plant has got a seed, and this seed has got the thorns facing up. So we call this a devil thorn. So a devil thorn, where I come from, is one of the very most required plant. This is the plant we are using in order to make soap for washing dishes and for washing clothes. So I am glad that here where I am is not very far away from the dam. I am going to show you how it works. Let me just try and collect some of the leaves so that I can show how soap is made. So we take this kind of green leaves, and then we go to the dams with all the washings. We go with all the washings. So I'm not very far away from the dam. The dam is just here. So I'm going to be showing you just now. So I've got some water here. So the devil thorn is very much important. See what I'm going to do here now. So you just have to come and you take water, and then you do this, and then you can be able to mix it like this. You'll see what is going to happen here. Look. Can you see that? Look at this. You see the bubbles? You see the bubbles? So this is the tree that you use. Look at this, slimy. Just like any other liquid soap, you see. And the smell is neutral. It doesn't have any other smell. Look at that. Wisteria, thank you very much for the comment. Indeed, this is very much interesting. Look at this. You see the bubbles and everything is there. So this is the plant that we are using there in Venda in order to make soap. When going to the rivers, while I was still young, sometimes you lose your soap and it goes away with the stream. So all you've got to do is to go to the bush and look for this plant. Look at this. This is beautiful. Look at that. So like any other kind of a liquid soap. There's even bubbles and everything, you see. And it has got quite a lot of nutrients for the skin. Some of the people, they use this as a shampoo in order to do the hair wash. So they use the devil thorn. Look at that. CJ, the animals, they do eat it, but humans don't eat it. Animals, they do eat it and they don't get affected. It's quite a very nice plant. The smell is just very much neutral. So you can see now I'm going to wash my hands. Look at that. You see, I'm going to wash my hands now so that you can see how it works. I'm very happy to discover that the devil thorn is also occurring here in Djuma. It's one of the plants I love the most. So now, let's see. James has got Hosanna, just not very far away from where I am. Let's see what Hosanna is doing this morning.
Well, he's now sitting in the golden light, as you can see. Beautiful sun catching the tops of that Aristida or three-awn grass. Oh, he's having a little vom. That's nice. Little hairball. Little hairball vom in the morning. Always good. Clear out the bowels before you go hunting. Probably hear that there's quite a lot of vehicle activity around him. Oh, not even close. About half the size variety. They are about 63 to 65 kilograms on average in this area, male leopards. Well, that's the number that they've weighed, so you probably find that the range is about 60 to 70 kilograms. A lioness in this area will weigh between 120 and 150 kilograms, so about half the size of a lioness. He won't be that big yet. He'd probably weigh in at about 55 odd. Let's carry on. If you want to work that out in pounds, you just multiply it by 2.2. Nasty trees. I'm not sure. Did you see where he went?
Yeah, he's behind.
Behind there.
Right.
Yeah, there he is. Hello, Carol. I know that a number of you like to follow where we are on the reserve. Carol, he's in between Mvubu Road and Gari Cut Line, and if you want to know where that is, you can just go to the Google Maps of Djuma. It's very nicely labelled, so you can actually see exactly where he is. He's heading east in the block between Mvubu Road and Gari Cut Line. He's about to hit Gari Cut Line. There we go, nice little two-track through here. And I think while we try and get ourselves into a decent position, Ralph has left his elephant and let's find out where he's going.
Well, I'm just coming out looking for maybe some different leopards that we may find. Let's just stop here though. There's a nice bull Nyala, just over there. So I'm coming down Nyala Road North. So as the name suggests, lots of Nyala in this area. There's a lovely drainage line that does run through here as well. And there he is with his war paint on, or his sunscreen, just below his eyes there and on his lips. They are beautiful animals. Are the Nyala. Now, Tony Two Toes, thanks for the question. I have to think about which has been my most amazing SafariLive experience. I reckon probably some of that cheetah stuff, or the hunts that I had in the Masai Mara has got to be up there. And then obviously the leopards here in the Juma Traverse. Probably being around Shudulu and maybe Hukumuri, but these leopards have just been so special, and I would have to say that the cheetahs in the Masai Mara was pretty exceptional as well, especially the musketeers. But I witnessed a couple of hunts, and it was just mind-blowing. So I'd have to split probably those two. Here, I think it's quite a general leopard thing in Juma, and then a general cheetah thing in the Mara. I'd have to say that because that's the sort of special about these two different areas, so that's what's sat with me, I would say, but not one particular sort of encounter. They're all so different and special as well. So it's difficult for me to. It's almost like saying, "Who's your favorite child?" If you've got more than one kid, you can't choose between them. You've got to. So they're all cool. They're all right up there in the top drawer of your memory. Well, this guy is just very happily moving and grazing through here, feeding on a little bit of grass and the leaves. Now, Joy, yeah, that looks like it could be. It's either a shepherd's tree or maybe even a common spike thorn. I can't see exactly from here, but those kind of trees, yes, they do keep they're evergreens, much like the guarries and the jackalberries as well. So there's certain trees that do maintain their leaves through the winter, and then obviously, as you see here, this Nyala will go and seek them out and then feed on them during the winter months. As most of the other leaves have lost, or most of the other trees have lost their leaves, so you've got to be quite intuitive and relying on their experience when it comes to winter feeding. We see it with the elephants, we see it with the browsers. They generally do need to almost work a little bit harder for their food and target specific plants. And very often specific plants will be in specific areas. So you'll have them then going to places that they wouldn't necessarily go to in summer. In summer, obviously, they can move a lot more freely and feed as they go. But in winter, you definitely find that they frequent particular areas in search of specialized or winter month food that they obviously need to continue on with the nutritious value that they need to seek out. So you can see with them feeding there just as a silhouette. Now, JG, a big leopard taking down a Nyala like this, yes, I would say that definitely Whether or not he could get it up a tree is a different story, but definitely be able to kill this bull like this. But you must also remember that these are wily old animals, are these nyala. I once witnessed wild dogs that were chasing an nyala bull like this, and they got him inside a waterhole. And he was a wily old bull and just kept these wild dogs at bay, and eventually they got tired and moved off. So you think that, you know, the predators always have the upper hand, but I tell you, these animals don't get to an old age like this for nothing. They do know exactly what they're doing, and they can also evade young leopards like Hosanna.
Righty, here we have Hosanna again. I'm not sure how long we're going to be able to be with him. He is going to head into some very thick stuff, I think. And also, I think there is another vehicle coming here, and we will have to make way for them. He's just about to cross Gari cut line now. That's why he's in the bushes there. And then there is a very steep riverbank that he'll go down, and we might be able to get him inside there, but I'm not sure. I would also be quite tempted to let him go hunting without our vehicles behind him. I'm going to shift forward slightly. Yes, Josh, it's absolutely normal for big cats to be hacking out hairballs. That's what they do. They eat a lot of hair, especially when they kill. They ingest a huge amount of hair. Is that right, Seb? So he's definitely on the hunt. Okay, we're going to have to leave the sighting, everybody. There is another person coming. We might go back and try and find him, because I don't think these big cars are going to be able to follow him into this big steep drainage line. So what we'll do is leave him here and move back around into the drainage system. That's a beautiful last shot to leave him with. I'll pull out of the sighting. Alrighty, now Sydney has got another view of the sunrise. Let's go across to him.
I am trying to check if I can find some of these small and interesting things here, but I can see here where I am, it's quite very difficult this morning to find the interesting little animals. But I know I will find them. So I'm still going to walk all the way down to the eastern side of the game reserve and see if I can find an area consisted of quite a lot of these insects and other things. So, but now, let's talk about the following. These grasses here, when the animals are coming and eating on these grasses, do these grasses have to die? What happens? You know, the grasses and the trees, they are very much disadvantaged, because when there is danger, they cannot run away. But apart from that, the grasses and trees are very much well equipped. If you can check, when these animals are feeding on these grasses, the grass has to react by giving off a chemical distress call. And these kind of chemical distress calls, we do hear them and we do smell them. They normally produce a very strong smell. And that smell is like a grass cut. You pick up a smell. That smell is a sign to warn the other neighboring grasses to say, we have got someone eating us here, be careful. Is then that these other ones, the adjacent grasses, are going to then raise up the level of the chemicals. And when that chemical is out, it's going to attract some of the insects such as bees. And these bees will then come and do pollination. In other words, the giving off of a chemical has got a double duty. It has got a duty to protect and a duty to attract other insects to come and use that area as a coffee shop you will see then these bees coming there a lot. But in return, the bees, they have got to give a very big payment in the form of pollination. So you can see that these grasses are very much clever, and for them to do pollination, they depend on insects, but they must have to invite them to come and assist with that process. Mr. Q-Tip, yes, we do have some of the big plantations, the plantations which is providing us with coffees here in South Africa. Where I come from in Venda, there used to be a coffee plantation as well while I was still very young, but now coffee is not there anymore. We are only just providing some tea. It's called Midi tea. Midi tea is just from where I come from. About 2 kilometers away from my village, there is a big plantation which is providing us with tea. And in those areas, there used to be coffee as well during the olden days. Sweet history, the spider webs, those are the kind of things I am looking for at the moment, because I've got a lot to talk to you about how they are living, the spiders, and the importance of having webs to both the spiders and to us as humans. So it's just that here where I am is quite a little bit difficult to find the spiders, but I am going to hang around this area until I find them. So now Ralph is driving. Maybe on his drives he might be experiencing other interesting things. Let's go and see what's happening there.
Yes, we waterhole or dam, and wondering if there might be a hippo. I think he's permanently vacated. I think he might have decided that. Let's see if Mr. Wingston Churchbull comes to visit. Okay, let's just stop here, have a look at the waterhole, see what might come out or what is present. I can see there's a couple of blacksmith lapwings just next to the water. What else do we have? There's one, he's just running just in front of me there, Senzo, almost over my shoulder. There he is, just moving along the fringes, right on the boundary of the water. Also just listening out for any alarm calls. Maybe Tandi Tlalamba around here somewhere. I'm not hearing anything for now. And just got a lovely sort of view with the reflection over here. A few bubbles coming up in the water. A lot of oxygen and different gases being released from down below. But other than that, it is like a mill pond. And even Wingston not coming to visit, so he's obviously been or headed out foraging, and I'm sure he'll be here a little bit later if we're to come back. But I think that's probably it for us. Let's move on a little bit. See, we'll go from here. We'll take this next road that runs parallel to this drainage line coming off of Buffels Hook waterhole. So obviously, you know, below each dam that you would have, you've got quite a deep canyon running off of it, or drainage line. Now Victoria, no, the water doesn't really smell too bad at all. You do get a little bit of a smell of, it's I suppose if you had to take, you know, in a pond, if you had to just throw lots of grass in a pond, you know, it gets an organic smell to it, but it's not bad. It's just, you know, a lot of elephant dung and probably hippo dung as well inside the water. So it's not a bad smell, but it's like a farm dam type smell. You know, the cows, I always think it's pretty strange. I mean, like with the elephants as well, they miss the concept of where you know, you shouldn't really poo in your water. It's not the best idea, but that's what they do. They're drinking while they're urinating and defecating in the same water, but it doesn't seem to do anything to them. So. And I don't think it's harmful at all. It's just quite a strange thought. But yeah. But you'll often see that with the elephants, you know, standing in the water. The zebra do it. You know, the giraffe do it. And it's just quite impressive with the elephants because you've got these, you know, big splashes and big urination. So yes, just in time for breakfast. I love this breakfast talk. Right, I think we're going to go down. This is the fire break, right up on the northern boundary. Now, Tony, the animals on Djuma don't get given artificial lick blocks or salt licks here. They access their own salt or mineral zones around sodic sites, which is a natural salt lick for the animals. So that's normally where you've got a bit of a seep line, and so water seeping out onto the surface, and that would have been, you know, a lot of leaching of mineral salts would come out with that water, and then when it evaporates, obviously all those mineral salts get concentrated in that specific zone, and it does result in it being a little bit toxic for the plants. So you have these bare patches, and then the animals seek those out, and you'll find them feeding on the soil there where there's a lot of mineral salts, and then they can gain all the nutrients that they need from those particular sites. So in general, the salt licks would only be put out if there was, you know, a period of extended drought, and the animals were really suffering as a result of it. So then it can be used, but you know, they do try and keep things as natural as possible. And with the animals being able to move through the entire sort of Greater Kruger National Park, there's freedom of movement, and some sites used quite excessively by some of the animals that maybe, you know, a potentially very rich sodic site might be used more than others, but that's the natural way of letting things occur, and much better that way as well. But you know, so I would say in conclusion, those type of sodic sites that the animals can access without them having to put artificial salt licks. So yeah, but sites for it. Okay, everyone, I think the gremlins are attacking a little bit, so let's head you off to Sydney and hope our signal improves.
I have got one of the spider webs here, but this spider web only just caught quite a whole lot of leaves. You can see the dry leaves there, but I can see here, it seems like here that is where the spider is staying. It is a very big web constructed by the tropical tent spider. So tropical tent web spider. So it's showing that these spiders, they catch these insects from the outer layer, and then they can be able to drag them in to hide, to avoid competition. So one of the very much interesting thing about spiders and snakes and scorpions, those venomous animals, is that the venom of these spiders are now being used in order to treat the chronic pains. So you can see that this kind of venom that we are running away every day is a kind of venom people are converting and it doesn't even suppress your immune system. This venom works very much faster than the tablets we are using as painkillers today. So let me tell you the story. When I was still very young, my mom once got bitten by a snake when we were collecting some firewood. And what we did there is that we didn't take her home. We left her there because we didn't want her to walk long distance. It was very far. All we did was that we went home. When we got home, she sent us home to go and collect some of the alcohol. And the alcohol in the form of, it was in the form of pap. What we do is that instead of using the acid, instead of using tartaric acid for cooking, we normally put some of the mealy powder and we mix with water for a day or two, then it ferments. After that fermentation is when we are going to cook. Then we went home and collect that fermentation part, and then we brought it for her to drink. After drinking, then we came back. So in Venda area, the snake bites, scorpion stings, as well as the spider, the spider bites. We treat them just from an alcohol. So that alcohol, it is believed to reduce the flow of the venom in the body. So that is something that I have witnessed, and it did not only happen to my mom. All the people experiencing snake bites, that is how we treat. Until today, that is how we try and minimize the rapid flow of the venom in the body. So I'm just going to carry on now and see if we can find any other interesting insects. So I'm sure this spider caught quite a lot of leaves. He did not manage to get food, but maybe that is assisting because the leaves can be able to mislead the prey to come there, so the prey won't be able to see the web at all. So I've seen here where I am, there is quite a lot of elephants evidence here, so I might meet the elephants anytime soon. But for now, let's see what my other colleagues are showing on the other side of the game reserve.
Yes, well, I think I am going to, from where I am now in the the northeastern corner of the Djuma Traverse, I think I'm going to head for the southwestern corner because we did send the drone over this particular area this morning as well, and we sort of looked around a bit and there was no real sign of any leopards. So I'm going to just go to the area where we don't have any kind of news from this morning, and that's into that the western corner or western part. So I'm going to just from here slowly make my way over there, and I'm hoping that Shudulu or Hukumuri, one of them has made an appearance, and we'll just check that areas. It would be wonderful to see them. But yeah, I'm sure we'll see some elephants in between, maybe, who knows, the odd giraffe. Haven't seen a giraffe in a couple of days. You can hear some Franklin alarm calling down there. But we've just come from there. I want to really circle around again. Yeah, so I wonder where these cats are. The only one that's really made himself known is Mr. Hosanna. But he's always keeping us entertained, eh? Wonderful cat as he is. And now also, as we start heading almost directly west, we've got the full moon just in front of us. It's now a waning gibbous moon, and what a wonderful eclipse that it was a couple of nights ago. It was awesome at blood moon. And I don't know, did you guys send in your photos of the lunar eclipse? The hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. It would be nice to see if any of you do have any photos from wherever you are in the world. And in FC, they're saying that you're still waiting on photos, guys, so send them in. We'd love to see what it looked like from your part of the world. I always love this road coming down because you get a nice view of sort of that east-facing slope that includes the lodge. Now, James Richard, thanks for your question. The most important thing that I've learned with SafariLive, I suppose it's being in front of the camera. Now, the sensor's laughing at me. You know, because obviously I was very, I would say, stiff, quite tense in front of the camera when I first started. And you know, when I was like that as well, it was really strange because I'm used to being in front of lots of people and talking in front of them, and I don't have a problem with that. But it was crazy how just putting a camera in front of me really made me feel like I was back in primary school and doing public speaking with 400 people watching me on the stage. You know, that kind of feeling. It really took me back to my childhood. So I think getting over that and just being relaxed in front of the camera and letting your own personality come out, because you're so nervous that I would just fill in the gap. Creating information at 1,000,000 miles per hour. So it's not the problem that I didn't have the information or something to say about the wildlife in general. It's just that feeling of trying to get it mixed up nicely and just being relaxed. You know, my uncle is a very famous TV personality as well, horticulturalist, Keith Kirsten, and he used to be on morning television every morning, every day, sort of giving gardening tips and so on. So I asked him for advice on how to, you know, be in front of the camera and the television, and he sort of said to me, and it only makes sense to me now, really, because at the time I was like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't, you know, because he said you just got to be yourself and don't be scared to laugh at yourself and be human. And, you know, at the time when he said it, I was like, that's rubbish advice. What does he mean, you know? I do now, though. I do now. I understand it fully. Being myself, and yeah, and just letting your personality come through. But it's difficult when you've got different emotions or you're in the stress of the moment. Yeah, Senzo laughing at me, but I'd love to I'd love to take Senzo and just stick him in front of the camera right now, and we'll see how he reacts to that. So yeah, so I'm just gonna go up here and check Mvubu Road. I'm going to check Mvubu Road, then check Galago, and then head on over to the west. And so hopefully we're going to pick up some tracks and signs here, or hear some alarm calls. That's what I'm hoping for. And then we can find ourselves a leopard.
I have got a lovely leopard track here with me, and then this, I hope it has been Hosanna last night or early this morning, is showing here that it's not Tingana, it's nice and very much small. So Hosanna is our little king in the vicinity here, and you can see the 3 lobes. Oh, someone is walking right on top of Hosanna. I'm just trying to check if he's leaving behind the marks. So you can see there's an ant walking there. The ants, they also create some prints where they walk. So if you want to see how these ants... Beverly, the ants are very much well equipped. The ants, they secrete something which is called formic acid. And a formic acid is quite a dangerous chemical. So that is how they defend themselves. So they've got a formic acid which is just everywhere around their body. If you touch them, you will see it's like a fluid, and it does smell. Some of them, it smells bad. I once grabbed the African stink ant, and I hated myself that day because it's very much difficult to get rid of that kind of a scent. So they do defend themselves, and how they walk, getting back to the tracks. You see this stick? The ants normally don't come and climb. They come and go underneath. You will see a line like this drawn, and it goes underneath like this. Then you must know it means this is where the ants are moving. So they don't really climb when it comes to the sticks and logs. They go underneath. So it's very much easy to see that. So that ant just got disappeared. It's very much small. I did not see where he went to. So this was Hosanna. He was going that side of the dam where he might be spotted this morning, where he has been spotted already anyway. So I'm going to carry on here and see, maybe we might be lucky and see something else. From where I am, I've already picked up the presence of the largest land mammal. I can be able to smell the elephants in the area. So elephants, we can easily pick up their scent, the body scent, as well as the fresh broken branches. So somewhere around here, they are elephants. It's just that we have not yet spotted them. But I'm convinced enough from the sense of smell. So let's try this side. Maybe we might see something. So now let's see James, what James is doing. I'm not sure where he is, but he's somewhere in the reserve. Let's see what he's doing.
Well, he's come back to camp, I'm afraid. He's managed to make a complete hash of the the fan basically in the car, which is going to have to be replaced. And obviously in TV week we don't want to take any chances, and so we're going to have to park, swap the camera onto another car, and then pull out again. So that is the update from this side. I do apologize for that. I drove over a stick. It jumped up into the engine and cut off the fan. So that's the plan. Now Ralph is going to try and find Hosanna, as far as I can understand, so let's go back across to him. Yeah.
Yes, I am indeed, and it seems like he's on the move a little bit, so I'm just picking up the pace. We were going to head to him from this eastern side, but it seems like he's already crossed over, so I'm just doing a quick movement here. We're going to go across the dam wall, and then we'll go and catch up with the Hosanna. And there's no point of us driving around if we've got a leopard here, we might as well move with him, and the potential is that he might do some hunting as well, because it seems like he was trying and missing from what I saw on the reports from the dam cam last night. Lots of attempts, but no luck. So let's go and follow him. James has just headed back to camp. I think he's got a little bit of a problem with his vehicle, technical issues. But I'm sure they'll have things sorted out there. The tech team is always wonderful. They do very quickly get involved and fix things up, so I'm sure he'll be back in the game in no time. But thanks, James, and now we get to go and hang with Hosanna for a while. I'll never say no to that. That is fantastic. So sorry for your issues, but now, YouTube viewer, the reason leopards are so good at climbing, well, they've evolved very big, nice, strong front quarter, big shoulders, nice, strong paws as well, with the claws to match. So it's like pure climbing tools that the leopards have, and especially that sort of real power to body ratio, size wise. They're just the perfect body for ambush hunting and climbing trees, pulling things up the trees as well. So all of that mixed in just makes for the perfect climbing and ambush machines that they are. So Yeah, I would say, but generally, you know, most importantly, those very well designed claws and the power to match, to be able to pull themselves up, especially with heavy loads while they're doing it. I mean, you can think if those nails weren't very strong or the muscles attached to them, you know, they could very easily rip their claws right out of their sockets if they were busy climbing. There's just a scrub here out in the open. So I'll just have to catch up with them in a minute. So come down Twin Dams Road to the south. Seems like he's moved quite a lot. There's elephant tracks here. And the sun's getting up now. It's now finally starting to warm up, which is great. Let's just see here. Now, Billy, who's 6 years old, thanks for your comment. You say that your favorite moment with me when I rolled the giraffe off. Well, that was quite funny, wasn't it? And I rolled into a thorn bush. I think it must have been a knob thorn or something like that, because I was pulling thorns out of my leg for the next 3 days. And yeah, you know, some of those little hook thorns, you don't realize that they're still in there. But I did rip my legs open, and it was quite fun, wasn't it? I'm just a bit sad. It was not the best terrain to be doing it. And if it was a nice flat, you know, sort of surface with the giraffe having a very clear view of me, you know, I would have liked to have shown you that from that perspective, because they get really curious and they come on and look at you. And we used to do that quite regularly with my students when I was training them for trails rangers, you know. So yeah, no, that was funny, wasn't it, Billy? Lots of fresh elephant dung here. Now, Snazzy, the elephants do have a slightly longer gestation period. It's 22 months, so nearly 2 years, whereas I think, if I'm not mistaken, giraffe are 19 months. So just a little bit less, but it's almost the same. 2-3 months shorter than the elephants, and almost 2 years as well. I wonder now if I need to recontact these guys. They said Twin Dams Road, and they said he's down here, but geez, he must have been running if he's all the way down this way. That's not a problem, we'll keep looking. Okay folks, so I'm just going to work out, I'll get on the radio now and I'll get in touch with these guys and find out, because it seems like there is a station still with Hosana, so it's not like we need to re-find him, but I'm just going to establish exactly where he is.
I have got a very small dropping here. I'm just trying to figure out from what animal is this. But looking at the dropping, I cannot see the urine. And I can just see this white stuff on it and the droppings. This is telling me that this has been a bed. As the beds, they defecate and excrete this white color as a lubricant. So these beds, if we can try to open here just to see what these beds ate. Maybe I might see. Yeah, there's just some little bit kind of chittens showing that this bird has been eating some of the insects. Yeah, and even some of the ants. I can see the chittens there. You know, the skin of the ants, it's not very easy to digest them. And the termites. I eat termites, and I know that the termites, the heads on these termites, they don't get finally digested. Still, you will see them the way they are, and also the mandibles. So this one has been a bird feeding on some of the insects. So the birds Dory, we do have some of the big ants, maybe up to this size. Up to this size. Some of the ants can grow up to this size. So here, I can see the small particles I've got, it was just from the small ants. So I can even see here their small head. So these kind of birds have got a very good and interesting digestive system because they've got a special place. Some of them has got a special place here called a crop, whereby they eat and they store the food for a while, and they are going to moisturize and lubricate the food, and afterwards they will take it down to the digestive system. And that helps these birds because the birds needs quite a lot of energy because they've got to use their wings, and that consumes quite a lot of energy. So these birds must be able to store the food and take it down. But when it comes to the digestive system, they are very good. The challenge is they cannot be able to digest the feathers, and they cannot be able to digest some of the bones. So some of the birds, they do predate other birds. And those kind of birds are the birds which has to go and they feed, and after that, after 1 or 2 days, this is what is going to happen. That bird must have to vomit, or they must have to vomit the cast. They must vomit some of the small balls consisted of the furs and the bones from what they have eaten. So their digestive system is good, but some of the materials can be indigestible. So those are the materials which has to come out after a day or two. Safari South, there's insects such as termites. They've got a very nice taste. Now, let me take you through a kind of a procedure how you must cook them. Some of the people, they eat them dry. So we dry them, and then you can just take them while they're dry, and you have to just add some water, put them on a pan, and put a little bit of water, maybe for about 10-15 minutes. After 15 minutes, you have to put some cooking oil, and then you must fry them. You will fry them for a while. After frying them, you must have to put onions and tomatoes, and then after that, you are going to fry them again with onions and tomatoes. You don't have to create any soup. After onions and tomatoes, you are going to put just a little bit of water again so that the onions and tomatoes can get into their bodies. And when it's dry again, that is when now you can eat them. And they taste very nice. You've got to also put a little bit of salt as well. So they are very much nice. I love termites, and I love the flying termites as well, because those kind of insects, they are very much delicious. And when I go home to Venda, when I'm off, I will bring some. I will show you how the termites looks like when they are cooked and also when they are dried. Oh, there's something I want to check here. I just want to check if this is the tree that I'm just checking this small tree, but it doesn't have any scent. There is a small plant like this that we are using in order to treat flu and in order to relieve the blocked nose. But the scent is not there. Maybe it is that one. It's just that now is a very difficult season to identify small trees, because I normally confirm that tree from the sense of smell. But the dry season, the leaves are all down now because the trees get stressed and trees don't want to lose too much water. If you can check this kind of leaves, is the ones that are facilitating the loss of water a lot from these trees. So, and the trees, they know that. Reason why the trees got to lose this kind of leaves is they are avoiding the loss of water. So now, let's see, I think James is now back again. Let's see what he's got for us.
We are back. We're in another vehicle, and this is a crested barbet, which all of you know, of course. And he's a very sweet little bird. Just picking up what he can, making it through the winter time. Hop, hop, hop. We won't sit for him for long. There have been reports of a leopard coming into Djuma from the eastern side. Could be Shidulu or Hukumore. We'll go and find out now, I think. Try not to break this car as well. Really is ideal to break a car in TV week. Anyway, so it goes. We don't do these things intentionally, of course, but they do happen from time to time. Big advantage of this car is that it has brakes, which is very nice indeed. Let's just greet everybody. Ah, hey! Those are all the guys coming in for work at Djuma today, including the inimitable Mama Z, who looks after us. She's like the matron of our dormitory. Alrighty, let's go with some speed. As we go with some speed, I'm not sure if Ralph is looking for Hosanna still, but let's go and find out.
Yes, I am looking for Hosanna, but the guys that were with him, I don't know if they couldn't follow him. Maybe he went into a thicket or something, but they left him. So it's one of those, now he could be anywhere now. And the trouble with, if you don't have somebody that's actually got their eyes on him, well, as I say, I mean, he could be lying just in the grass and we drive right past him without seeing him. So we've really got in our, just try and go slowly and see if we can relocate him. Otherwise, I hear that Herbie might be close to Tundi, in the area that I was just looking, but inside one of the blocks, so a little bit away from the road. So I'm just going to follow up on that in a little while. I'm not sure if he's found her or if he's got fresh tracks, but normally if he's got fresh tracks, he should get pretty close to her. I'm sure you'll find her if that's the case. So we'll just check this last little section here. Here's a couple of little daycare. So unless they're just calling me now. Standing by. Copy that. Thanks. Yeah, I saw the Ellies this morning. Yeah, I'm still just trying to relocate Hosanna, and if I don't, then I'll maybe go follow up. I'll just find out from Herbie if he's actually found Tundi or if it was just fresh tracks. Copy, will do. All right, so. All right, sorry guys, I'm just listening to what they're saying on the radio. I know there's all sorts of questions coming through, so there we go. Faith, you can send. Yeah, sometimes, you know, that's also one of the difficult things of being a presenter. The whole time we've got somebody talking in our ear, and sometimes we've got 2, 3, even sometimes 4 people talking in your ear. Not at the, you know, you'll always have only 2 at the same time, but often, you know, you can have these overlays. So I can be listening to 2 people in my ear. Sometimes the cam op is saying one thing to me, and then I'm still scanning, trying to look for animals, etc. So it's a little bit overwhelming, especially when you start being a presenter with all this noise going on. You know, it's that's probably been the most difficult thing for me in this particular role. It's not the guiding part or the wildlife; it's actually this human side of things. JG, yeah, leopards, you know, they can have more than one cub at a time, but obviously with just one cub, you know, the chances of the chances for that cub are much higher, because obviously then the attention of the mother is going to be just solely on you, on one individual, whereas if you have 2, 3, or even 4 cubs, You know, we saw it with the female leopard, cheetah in the Masai Mara. You know, 5 cubs, that's great. But, you know, eventually she split her attention, 5 ways, and ultimately none of them survived. So, you know, do you put all your eggs into one basket and make it work, or do you have 5 and hope that one survives, and where your attention is then still, you know, divided, and while you're busy moving cubs around, you know, 3 get eaten, and then you go back there to check, and then the other 2 get eaten. It's just, yeah, as I say. So I think that sometimes just 1 or 2 cubs is ideal, because then their survival rate is higher. 3, 4, 5, it does definitely make it more difficult for the survival of things. But the chances are then increased because there's 5 of you. So, you know, it just all depends. But, well, it looks like I'm not finding any signs of Hosana here, and he might have done a little bit of a Houdini act, because I can't find any tracks. But it seems like at least Sydney has.
Very nice to see Ralph trying to get hold of Hosana on the other side. And something else is that I have also seen a predator with 1 cub. I've seen a lion with 1 cub before, and hey, when having 1 cub, they can be very much aggressive. They charged me on several occasions. I have got something here on the ground to show you, which is something very rare at the moment. So I want you to check this very nicely. So look here, I have got this mark. This mark is this stick and is going this way. So you can see this mark is coming there. Let me take off this so that you can see nicely. Then it's coming there. So this is a track from a black mamba. So there is a common resident black mamba here, according to Herbert. So this is a track, and he once told me about this black mamba before. So now the sun is getting very much hot. That is why you can see now I've got my jersey on my waist, because it is now starting to get very warm. Ages. What determines a snake bite is the following. 1, the amount of venom injected in your body. Because sometimes you find that it is a bite that has just injected a little bit of venom. 2, the site of the bite. Where you got bitten, is it easy to treat or difficult position? 3, your health status. If, let's say, Sydney last week was experiencing problems, ill health, if Sydney was experiencing problems such as anemia last week and got bitten by a snake this week, it obviously is going to be very much difficult for my body functioning to fight against the venom. And another thing is the age. So the venom between the people, the youngsters and the old people, it travels very quickly to the youngsters than the old people, because the old people, their body functioning is too relaxed, and the youngsters, the body functioning is too fast, because everything is still very much new. So you can be able to save someone from a venom of the black mamba. I hear a lot of people, they say, no, after a snake bite, you're not going to survive for 30 minutes, you're not going to survive for 1 hour. That is not really true, because it is determined by quite a lot of different factors. Yes, an alcohol can be able to save someone from the animals such as snakes, such as black mamba. Sometimes they give a dry bite. They can bite and don't inject anything. So the alcohol is just going to stabilize you. It's just going to slow down the venom. But after that, then you must go and get the proper anti-venoms. So it means now I've got to be very much careful, because if the snakes are back now, so it means here by these grasses, while I'm doing guided walks, I've got to be very much careful. And when it comes to the dry trees, such as these ones, So now let's go to James. James is doing some other trekking on the other side. I'm not sure what James is up to. He will tell us.
Well, what I'm doing is trying to find some leopards, a great herd of them here. Now, we had reports of a leopard coming towards Juma, quite close to the northwestern corner, out of Simbambaili, but I haven't managed to find any sign just yet. So we'll keep looking around here. Could be Shidulu or Hogomore. Is that, there's a carcass in that tree?
Where?
There. Right there. I don't think we've driven past here for a long time, but I wonder if it hasn't been kept a secret from us. I mean, that is old. It could have been stashed up there, I suppose, recently. No, that's ancient. Well, not that ancient. But it's not new. That's been here for days. It's either been under this bush around here for days, or it's just been put there. Let's do a little drive around here in the block and see if there isn't a leopard lying around. It'd be quite a nice little surprise, wouldn't it? And just look under all the bushes. It doesn't look like a very comfortable tree to hide in. Now, it's possible that that's been eaten and then left, because of course leopards do that from time to time. They will eat a carcass and then finish it and then just leave, you know, the kind of stringy bits in the tree. You got a leopard? Yeah. Oh, hooray. It's Shidulu. Hello, my darling. Can you see she's Shidulu there, Sebastian? And the way I know that is because she's got rather oriental eyes. Don't you think?
I agree.
I think it's Shidulu. And the slightly pinched face. Kirsten in the final control room. Leopard identifier extraordinaire says definitely Shidulu. Fantastic. Goodness. Hello, my dear. How very nice to see her again. Alright, let me just call this in. She's obviously been sat here for some time, many days. That's a fully grown impala. She could have been eating it in a thicket though, not in the tree. Station is located, Shidulu female. She is probably about 300 meters south of the gate, just to the eastern side of Gari Main. Not Gari Main, Triple M. Carol, I knew this question was going to come, and I can't answer it yet. I can't tell from her face if she's looking pregnant. If we go a little bit forward, though, we might be able to see her belly. She's going to stand eventually. She's doing that sort of yawny thing. She'll stand, and then we'll be able to see. Remember, though, that with these cats, it is not easy to tell whether they're pregnant or not, because, of course, they do not carry their youngsters for a long time. They are not in utero a long time. The gestation period is short, which means that the youngsters don't get very big in utero. And because they don't get very big in utero, they don't you know, if she's had a good meal, it can be very difficult to tell if she's pregnant unless she's about to pop. She should, in theory, be about to pop at this stage. Lioness, I don't think so. Do you think those are wounds? They do look like wounds, actually. Yeah, she does have wounds on her neck. Now that's interesting. You would normally associate wounds like that with mating. Now, as far as we're aware, she's pregnant. She has mated with Hukumori before, but there's no actual evidence that she's pregnant. And if she did not fall pregnant, let's look now. If she did not fall pregnant, you can be sure that she would have come into estrus again very quickly. And so highly likely that they have been mating again. But I think we would have heard about that. I feel like somebody would have told us. Tristan has a remarkable network of contacts in this area, and I feel like he would definitely have been told. Now, you see, I don't think that that's a pregnant cat. I can't see from this that that's pregnant. I'll allow you all to make your own judgments, but I don't think she looks very heavy around the uterus. What do you think, Seb?
Yeah, I agree.
So maybe she's been mating,
Yeah.
and that's why those wounds are there. That was well observed. Let me move quickly so that Sebastian can get a shot of her getting into the tree. Oh, she nearly jumped. Don't go around that side. This side, please. This is the shot everyone wants. And here we go. Up you go, my dear. Ah, that's it. Oh, this is beautiful. Sebastian, don't say I'll never do anything for you. That's gorgeous. Sorry. Shamsun, sometimes the vultures notice carcasses in trees. This one, I imagine they would, because of course, well, oh, this is going to be interesting. I'll tell you why. No, car full of 12 people just drove past the leopard in a tree. Anyway, Shamsun, there are obviously no leaves on this tree. Shall we move, Sib?
Sure.
So, entirely possible that a vulture would see it. They won't chase her off, though. They'll chase the cheetah off. Obviously, a cheetah would never put a carcass in a tree. But she's been under one of these bushes now for, I'm going to say, 3 days. That looks like an adult impala to me. And in fact, the wetness of the fur there indicates to me that it's definitely been on the ground and it's had a lot of dew on it. How's that, Seb? Is that all right? I think she went. The reports we got of her from this morning were obviously from her going off towards what is known as what is it known as? One Eye Pan inside Simbambili. She obviously went to drink there, came out and crossed in here, and of course the guys that followed her out wouldn't have been able to see what she was doing. I'm surprised they probably didn't miss this carcass. She probably just went and lay down under a bush. You can see also there's a lot of muck on it, so it obviously has very recently been hoisted. Phew, that's a bit of luck, isn't it? You can see most of the blood has gone black. Well, Pauline, that's exactly why their gestation periods are as short as they are and why their babies are born so helpless. They cannot carry a heavy fetus in utero and hunt successfully, maintain the integrity of, the uterus, so not damage it in some way if they've got a long term or a fetus that has to be in there for a long time. So yes, they can hunt heavily pregnant, they must hunt heavily pregnant, but heavily pregnant for a leopard is very different from heavily pregnant for a human. A heavily pregnant human is almost immobile because the baby is so big. Sort of some way between human being and leopard would be an impala, which has an enormous fetus, but not quite as enormous as a human being's. So the mother can still run, but she doesn't have to hunt. So you'll find that just about all the predators really have a very short gestation period. I don't think that cat's pregnant. And I think that the wounds on her neck indicate mating. She's got lots of them. Lots of little nicks and scratches on the top of the neck there. Well, we're not going to go anywhere for the rest of our drive. We're going to sit right here. Sydney has found something small and intriguing on the floor.
I've got something very much small here, and I've been trying to investigate for the past few minutes just to see who did this. But when I'm looking at these droppings, I can see that the size of the dropping is showing me that it is the white-tailed mongoose. No tracks, nothing, because here is just grass everywhere. So, but the fascinating part of these droppings is that these animals, mongoose, are not grazers. But if you look there now, it's just grass. This animal has been eating grass. So this is a sign that this animal has been experiencing the internal stomach problems. This is telling us that this animal was experiencing the parasites, the internal parasites, tapeworms. So for the animals to get rid of the tapeworms, they must come and eat the grasses. Normally, they eat the green grasses and then they eat these kind of grasses as well. They take these grass parts. So these grass parts can be able to wash out the tapeworms. So, and this is what we are seeing here. So this is from a curly leaf grass. If you can check here, it's like a curl. Look at that. So this is a curly leaf grass. So this kind of curlies, the animals come and eat so that they can wash out the tapeworms. So this is done specifically by the carnivores. And even some of these omnivores, they can clean from that. So this animal was just eating on the grasses for medicinal purposes, since we don't give these animals any kind of treatment. So animals knows very well how to treat themselves. So if I can open here, you will see that this is grass. Yeah, if you can check there, you will see that it's just grass. So this has been a white-tailed mongoose trying to solve the stomach problems. So I'm going to carry on and see if we can find any other interesting small thing here. So I have got my colleague Ralph is driving around the reserve looking for some other interesting things. Let's see what he's got at the moment.
Well, all we've got is a little bit of a clue to where Hosanna is. I don't know exactly where he is, but the area that the guys lost him or left him, and he's still very close up towards the dam. So I think he's in here somewhere now, but we've got to keep our eyes peeled because he's in here very close by. There's some impala here now, but I'm pretty sure that he's maybe watching us. I think he's watching us. There's an elephant coming down the road. Nice big bull. Hello, mister. Be a little bit careful here because we need space for each other. Which way are you going to go, my man? Let's just see what he does. He's coming down the road. If he is going to come down the road, I need to make some space for him. Okay, everyone, so well, we just give this nice big male elephant some room to maneuver, that we don't block his path. Let's head you on back to the beautiful Shidulu.
Yes, here we are with Shidulu's hanging decorative art piece of impala skin. I've never seen anything like that hanging in a house, but it is quite interesting in that manner. But of course I have seen many skins in houses. I don't suppose they should be seen any less with any different eye, if you know what I'm saying. You know, we're very happy to hang animal skins on our walls and put them on our floors, and then I'm sure many people are looking at this scene thinking, ooh, that's a bit disgusting. Well, in actual fact, there's really no difference. I've never thought of that before, you see. It's a new thought. And you know, I think you'll find that animals out here have got the stomach enzymes and acids to deal with any sort of bacteria and foulness that might be in rotting meat. I don't think they'd eat rotting meat if that wasn't the case. And so no, I think food poisoning highly, highly unlikely, unless the animal is seriously diseased. But normally animals have some way of telling that. I'm sure it comes from the smell. But there isn't normally an issue at all with food poisoning, or sort of, what's the sort of lesser evil of food poisoning? You know, they don't get upset tummies, I don't think. They certainly have to go to the loo. From my experience, they have to go to the loo in a more liquid fashion after a rotting carcass versus a less than rotting carcass. But otherwise, no problems at all. Lovely, beautiful east sky there, isn't it? Not east sky, winter sky is what I meant to say. Just going to see if anyone wants to come and see this leopard from the other side, so that we can keep in their good books. Any stations in the west copy me? I've got Shidulu in a tree just off Triple M. You'll get a 5 out of 5 visual, about 200 meters north, I think, of One Eye Pan Road. There we go, I've done my duty. Go for it. No, it's James. So somebody's going to come in from Nkoro. It's always good to keep in the good books of everyone around here, so that they tell us. It was Tristan's network of contacts that got us in here. Now, of course, the radio is going ballistic. Ooh, well, yes, Ashley, possibly, not yet, though. It would be fascinating to see, though, if she's in Estrus, if she went wandering past Horsana, whether or not she would try and seduce him, because, of course, that's what happens with these leopards. They try and seduce the males. So whether or not she would try and seduce him, I'm not sure. But I think it would be unlikely. He is, in theory, too young. And whether he would then know what to do or not, I don't know. I remember watching one of the Birmingham boys, obviously the very first time that he had engaged in the act of procreation, and he was utterly clueless with one of the lionesses of the Nkuhuma Pride. It took him about 10 tries before there was consummation. and he lay looking very ashamed for a while afterwards. He soon got over it though. So I really am not sure if Hosana's development is such that he would, you know, register what he was supposed to be doing. Were she to start flirting with him in that leopard-like way that they do. Ronak Shadulu's supposed to be 4 years old. I mean, I say supposed to be, I'm 99% sure that that's how old she is. She looks older than that to me. But we know who she is, we know where she's come from, we know that it's highly unlikely that she could possibly be anyone else, you know, any other age. Unless somebody has made a real big mistake. She's so distinctively Oriental, don't you think? She looks just like a Siamese cat. Yeah, she's supposed to be 4. Born at Londolozi, which is about 7 kilometers from here. And quite interestingly, she hasn't sort of set up a territory right next to her mother's. She set up a territory, quite interestingly, in in Shadow's old territory, in Tandi's sister's old territory. And that's because it was left vacant by the disappearance of Shadow, an old favourite of ours. But you cannot confuse her for Tandi, even I, with my completely terrible ability to recognise these cats. Shadowy, this kitty will probably live till she's about 12 or 13 or maybe 14 years old, possibly up to 18. There was a record of a leopard living to 18. Tristan says that record is in fact 19 years. That would be extremely old for a leopard though. I mean, 12 or 13 is actually relatively young for a female to die, but, you know, anywhere between sort of, let's say, 13 and 16 you'd expect her to have that would be the average lifespan. Go ahead, yours. Affirmative. Just come along Triple M south from the gate, and she's about halfway between there and One Eye Pan Road. Alright, I'm just on the radio, everybody. Yeah, affirmative. I'm just listening to Peter there from Nkoro saying that the other guys were here when she crossed the road and they didn't see the kill in the tree. And I don't believe that that's because they were too blind to see it. I'm sure she's recently hoisted it. And if we scuffled around in the bushes here, I'm sure we'd find where she'd left the stomach and intestines, etc., etc. Okay, let's go from here across to Sydney.
I have been checking around here. All I'm seeing now is just the scrub hair droppings everywhere. It's showing that the scrub hairs, they lack it a lot here by this little opening. Maybe they are coming here a lot because they are trying to avoid some of their predators, so they prefer these nice opening areas to see who is stalking them. So I have been just from the eastern side of the game reserve, but now I am heading back towards the southern side and see if we can find something interesting on the other side. It is quiet at the moment. I have seen some of the tracks there for some of the leopards. I saw Tandi's tracks, and I also saw just now Kalamba's tracks, showing that Kalamba and Tandi are somewhere hiding in this block. It's just that we were not lucky this morning with any of them. Maybe they saw us somewhere. Cats, they can hide. I have got a question from Romana about the snakes, the hibernation of snakes. Yes, the snakes, unfortunately, they have got to hibernate by every dry season. If you can check the snakes, what they eat, they don't convert it into heat energy like we do. 90% of our diet is converted into heat energy. So if you can check us and birds, during the dry season, we are very much active because we have got quite a lot of energy to support the body system during the cold periods. So there is quite a lot of snakes hiding at the moment, but they are now starting to come out. So let's see, Ralph is driving, he's looking for Hosanna. Let's see, maybe he's about to get Hosanna. I don't know what's happening on the other side. He will tell us.
Well, I'm just I'm widening the search now because I think we've driven just past Hosanna, somewhere there in the drainage line. I do think with all of his activity during the night, looks like he was trying to hunt everything and anything that came next to the water there. He's probably a little bit tired. It's warming up now. I've also stripped off some layers, and I would say that it's probably young male leopard sleepy time at this very moment. So he probably watched us drive right past him, and he probably didn't even, he maybe just opened one eye as we drove past. But with a flat leopard like that, which I suspect he is, very difficult to find. So I think he's just down from the dam wall somewhere there, but I did drive around enough there to know that he's somewhere nearby, but not close enough or anything like that for us to see, which is a pity. I haven't seen him this morning, but we've always got this afternoon. Right, I think it's time to head you back to a leopard that is on screen.
Hosanna did go into one of the most difficult areas on this entire reserve to get a vehicle into, so I'm not that surprised that Ralph hasn't managed to find him. I think if Ralph does want to see him, all he'll have to do is drive to the pan there in front of the dam cam and sit for a couple of hours. He'll probably be back in the next, well, before lunchtime. If he isn't, you can be almost certain that he's whacked something in that drainage line. Now, Shadulu is going to lose a piece of this. It's going to drop down to the floor fairly soon. No, I don't think so, Sarah. I don't think that Shadulu and Tlalamba will ever meet each other unless they have a territorial battle one day. I think the definition between Thandi and Shadulu's territories is very clear. And, you know, Shadulu's got a large unoccupied territory that only she's in. If they came across each other, she might be a little bit nasty, but I think if Tlalamba ran away, I don't think she'd be any threat at all. No, she's set herself up here as Duchess of the West, and a very comfortable situation. She's got very lucky for a leopardess. Obviously territories around where her mother were full. She wandered north, and hey presto, I think it's highly unlikely she was responsible for Shadow's death, but she found Shadow's territory totally unoccupied, and so she's just kind of settled in. Oh, lots of meat there. Tasso, leopards are able to digest bone in the same way that you are able to digest some bones. It will certainly result in a lot more calcium in the dung, but yes, they can digest small fragments of bone. Bone that passes through the intestine, though, can often just make its way straight out the other side, so I think it requires possibly more acid and enzymatic activity than a leopard's stomach can bring to bear, but small fragments, yes, absolutely, they can digest. Like you can eat chicken bones quite easily and digest those. Righty, well, I suppose that's almost it for this part of the drive. Well, for this drive. We will, of course, see you tomorrow, do not forget. And we'll see you this afternoon, don't forget. And there is a big surprise coming to you for this afternoon. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's a big and very exciting surprise. It is so exciting and so surprising that I would ask you all to be sitting down when you watch the show this afternoon. I'm sure that's got you all of a flutter, all of a flitter, thinking about what surprise could possibly be happening this afternoon. Goodness gracious me, will we be able to make it through the night or through the day without knowing? Well, you'll have to hang on until this afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Until then, bye-bye.